We're doing it live. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Watch Us with Dennis. And welcome to Tony, who's agreed to very spontaneously participate on today's Strange 5 stream. 5 Friday. I meant Friday. I'm tired. I think we'll all be tired by the end of this, Tony.
We're not tired now.
I'm weary. I'm weary. How have you been? Before we get going, we let people connect. I don't usually do this on Fridays, unless we play games, and we're not playing a game today. We're going through a ton of watches.
True. I'm sad. I did not purchase a Powerball ticket in California, so I'm canceling my planned trip to a Vacheron boutique. Also, apparently, you need to buy a ticket. That's also apparently something you're supposed to do to have a chance for that.
It would probably help. Yes. Where is the nearest Vacheron boutique?
Chicago. I actually looked. It's Chicago.
I wondered if you had. That's why I went ahead.
I didn't look for this. I actually looked when I had put together the this and that or not this and that, but the game when I picked everything out. I had looked up where the nearest Vacheron boutique was out of curiosity. So
okay, I'm not surprised. I mean, I figured Chicago had one. I just. I didn't know maybe there was one closer. Generally, whenever I've looked into anything, there isn't. If it's not in Kansas City, it's Dallas and Chicago are like the options.
Right. And they're the same basic distance apart.
Yeah. And they're not, it's not always in both cities either, but
right.
So it's just one of those things. Well, in terms of, I don't have any new watches or anything. So because I had my birthday was on Tuesday. I didn't ask for any watches. I wasn't surprised with any watches. Incidentally, I did order some new watch straps that happened to arrive that day. So I have these
present to yourself.
Well, I was buying them anyway. So these the brand is Desari. I got them from Strapco. I just wanted to try some other like rubber style ones. So I have it on my Omega today. I don't know if green really goes with it, but I got some different colors. They wear okay. The keepers slide easier than I'm used to. I'm not a huge fan of that, but they were cheap. So you know me and cheapness. Right. So I thought I'd give those a shot because I wasn't really happy with some of my third-party stuff that I had for my Omega in particular. I tried a tropical style strap from Barton. I hate it's way too. It's like real stiff and plasticky. I hate it. I don't like how it clicks in, like the way the pin buckle goes through it. It just feels really weird. And I like their silicons okay, but I wanted something other than that. So thank you, Tuna, and welcome to the live stream. So. That's all I had in terms of updates. So I was going through because I was like, I like to stream in the morning on Saturdays. And someone in the Discord channel, which there's a link to the Discord invite in the video description of this video, had suggested that I do go over the top 10 luxury watches sold on eBay for the first half of 2023. So I've got that planned for tomorrow, but that is a topic in and of itself. Fun. I thought so. And so I thought, okay, well, I know while I've been getting back from work, I've been seeing that there have been some new watch reveals. Nothing like in my mind, nothing huge, but a few Seikos, a few like a Zodiac. And finally I went through today or last night and I was like, holy crap, there have been a lot of these just kind of like little subtle drops, like new dial colors and stuff. And I thought, let's have a conversation on it. I actually have 15 different screens loaded up of content.
Wow.
And it's more watches than that because some of them are multiple variants. So I was like, this should probably be a standalone thing. And so I thought, let me go ahead and throw that out there. And in fact, if others want to participate, I guess I'll throw the StreamYard link here in the chat for those that are watching live, and welcome Kevin to the live stream as well. So I just thought it'd be fun to have a conversation about these and just kind of be like, hey, what do we think about them? And it's better than me talking by myself to have you on. So Tony, let's go ahead and get going with all of this. So first things first. Oh, I see Sushi's on. Welcome, Sushi. Even Certina got into the PRX-like field. I don't know. I didn't even put in all the watches, so I do apologize that not all. I don't think I'm kind of glancing. I can't read my tabs because they're so small. So I don't think Certina is one of the ones I actually have tossed into this, unfortunately. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. Most of these will be articles, but I'm going to start with this one because I actually asked about this on the Discord channel for folks' opinion. This is the new limited Rangemaster mechanical from Island Watch. You can see the price, very approachable price point on this.
It is.
And this is the collaboration between Islander and Urban Gentry. Now, if you're not familiar with Urban Gentry, that's a YouTube channel. And they've done a collaboration before. And so I saw this one pop up and I was just kind of curious, especially with you on. I wanted to start with this one, Tony, because I know you are a fan of the Tudor Ranger. I think
correct.
You may like the Tudor Black Bay Pro better in the ranking of ranking of Tudors, but it's because Tuner's on live is why I'm messing that up. But I know you've mentioned the Ranger before, and this, at least its hour hand, is very reminiscent of it. So I just thought, let's start with this thing. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I like it. The collaboration I don't really get because I don't think I've ever watched that YouTube channel. But it reminds me a lot of my hack, my bull of a hack that I've got on today. As most field watches do, they have a very specific look, and I'm into that look. I do like it. Like I said, the Ranger is a watch that I like. It's on my short list, but not quite, as you said, as short as the Black Bay Pro. I think that would be the first Tudor I would target at this time. But I like how it looks. I do have an Islander. My Flieger is an Islander, and it's a good watch. Wear it all the time. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be worried about quality issues with it. But yeah, no, I think it's a nice looking watch.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Tuna has mentioned that they say Islander is okay for the money, and you've mentioned you have experience with an Islander. I'm familiar with Islander. I've never owned an Islander myself, but I have purchased through Islander. It's actually a watch shopping, like a site, mostly more on the affordable end. Island Watch initially got its fame, at least that I knew about them from, by making watches that were SKX compatible. So the Seiko XKX, which has now been retired, like there's a huge modding scene with that watch. So when that watch went away, Islander made their own version, but the sizing's identical. So all the bezel swaps and everything, you can use Islander watches and Islander parts and do it. So that's never been a space in watches I've been interested in, but I thought it was interesting that someone kind of went in and filled in that modding SKX gap that Seiko vacated when they quit making SKXs. So that's what I knew them for. And since then, they've started to turn out a lot of other watches that are very much in the style of, basically kind of homages, really, of, dives. You mentioned having a Flieger. They've got some other, very popular styles that have been sort of mainstays for a really, really long period of time. And hello, Nicholas. Welcome to the live stream. Now, I noted that, and I wasn't too surprised, Tony, given your statement about not knowing about the branding here. So Urban Gentry, and since they're another YouTube channel, I'm not, I watch it from time to time. I've mostly watched it when Mark of Long Island Watch or Island Watch has done collaboration videos with the Urban Gentry channel on that channel. That's the ones I usually watch because I think they have a pretty good repertoire that they are rapport, I should say. When they talk, I think it's interesting. Urban Gentry is not my style of channel. It's very produced. So like the guy behind it is really into videography, and he does a lot of stuff that doesn't interest me because I think it's more about the filming than about the watches at this point. So it's just not my style channel. But when I see the collaborations, I'll often watch because they'll do like their top 10 whatevers or something. And it's fairly entertaining. I hate this watch. So I thought this is going to be excellent because we'll actually disagree on one. I'm going to go ahead and go with Orange Hand here. That's terrible. Hard pass. I hate just about everything there is about this watch. I don't think the Islander logo and the Urban Gentry logo work at all. I think the Urban Gentry logo actually is awful for a watch. This reminds me of the biggest complaint I hear about Orient watches, which is people don't like the lions on the Orient watch. At least they're really zoomed out. This looks way too big. I hate the font for the 3, 6, and 9. I think it's way too new age.
I will agree with that. I don't like that font.
I don't think it fits with the look of this otherwise, which seems to be a very historical field watch look. Also, I'm a little bit annoyed that they went ahead and prioritized their logos instead of letting us have an 18 and a 24 on the military time spectrum. So I'm kind of pissed about that too. The Tudor Ranger does this for me too. I hate the hour hand. It's not as much as a cathedral hand, but because at least this one has a good purpose for loom. But I just don't really care for the shape of it. So to me, and this strap. I'm sure this is soft and comfy. It looks like burlap though. And my wrist is already itching looking at this. It looks like I'm wearing a potato sack. That's what I think that looks like. So basically, other than the price, I hate just about everything that this watch has going on for it.
I will agree with you. The font, I don't like the font. It is kind of rough.
And I don't like the shape of these indices.
Watch logo is terrible.
What do you think of these like trapezoidy things? I don't like them.
Those don't really bother me. I don't have a problem with the kind of trapezoidal. I don't think they're as nice modern and clean as just the straight rectangles, especially since we've been comparing it to the Ranger. Like the Ranger is straight rectangles. But you could definitely tell they went for the Ranger because the hands are identical to the Ranger, or as close to identical as they can get without being sued, basically.
I think they have a lot of leeway, but here's the thing. I guess I'll say, and again, their collaboration, maybe playing it safe or something, might be the logic here. This is at least I know they've had one collaboration before this though that sold out. I thought sold out pretty quick. I thought it was a big criticism. And maybe this is just me. No one's ever approached me to design a watch. I don't know why they ever would. The Urban Gentry is a huge channel. I mean, it's got for watches, it's got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. He's kind of a big deal. Why, if you got the opportunity to do a watch, would you play it so safe to basically do what I think is kind of what Orange Hand has touched on here, like this Explorer X Ranger X Hamilton khaki style? That it's just like they Christopher Warded it. It's just a bunch of homages, but not just one watch. It's like they took, like Orange Hand said, it's like they took 3 and glued them together. Where's the creativity in that? If I was asked to help design a watch, I'd want it to have some personality and not look like, I took the hour hand from the Ranger and I took the basic dial configuration from the khaki and I took the second hand and kind of went a little bit like, I kind of want to do, I want to do my, I don't know what they're stealing that one from. I'm sure it's something. And then, we'll have the Ranger. Okay, that's also the Ranger. And then the 369, the 369 is like the Rolex Explorer or Explorer 1, as some people would say. So I'm just like, there's no chance that, like, the only chance they took here was the chance of what would happen if we combined this many different watches together. Would people like it? And
right. Well, and it's a field watch. Field watches are the basic of the basic. They're the minimalist of the watches. There's not that much you can do with it while remaining a field watch.
Yeah, you've got a fair point there. And I'm like Tuna. I had a field watch at one point and I let it go because I just wasn't wearing it. My marathon that I had. I'm just not a field watch sort of person. And I know some people like what is it, the Bark and Jack guy, Adrian. I think his Rolex Explorer is his most favorite, most worn watch because he just loves the field watch aesthetic. So definitely appeals to certain people. But anyway, I thought we would differ on this.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah. So I thought this one we might disagree a little bit on because I know it had elements that you really liked, and I saw this and I just was like, "Oh my gosh, absolutely not!" If this wasn't a collaboration, I'd give it more of a pass. That 2 people ostensibly got together and just glued stuff from other watch brands onto and made a watch, kind of, I don't know. It feels like a waste to me, but hey, I'm sure it'll make them money. So more power.
Yeah, they'll sell them, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's probably. I'm wondering. I was gonna say it's probably already sold out, but I see it says I can put it in the cart. I don't I don't know if
I say if I was going to get another field watch, I would get a Hamilton khaki. But if I in the lower price point, I mean, otherwise, obviously, I'd get a Ranger in a higher price point.
Sure. Anyway, all right. So enough of that one. So let's jump into some non-collaboration. I don't know if I have any other collaborations in the rest of this thing. So again, all the links of everything I'm showing is in the video description. So if you want to read the articles or go to in the case of Islander, I didn't see an article about it. I'd seen it announced on Reddit, and that's why I knew I could go to the site and pull it. So I didn't see any articles on any of my usual sites. So I just was laughing because Sushi was like, "Hey, Mark," and I don't think his name's Rodent, but I don't remember Urban Gentry's guy's name. Bet they could sell an ugly watch. Given the brand cachet that Urban Gentry has, the answer is probably yes. But I guess the question is how many. And speaking of watch collaborations, Jason's noting that his new watch will be releasing soon. Let us know when it comes out because I want to take a look at it. Definitely. So, speaking of non-collaborations, though, let's go Seiko. Well, no, let's go upper end, Tony. Wait, we looked at Islander, so we're gonna go way up on the price point, and let's talk about Grand Seiko.
Just a little bit. Grand
Seiko Heritage line is probably my favorite style of Grand Seikos. They have a couple of new ones. A couple new ones have come out. The 297 and the 299 versions. So let's go ahead and look at some images here. And again, we're just giving thoughts. So,
I'm going to be honest, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I don't like the white dial. I don't like that pale whitish dial. I prefer a colored dial or a darker dial.
What do you think of this blue?
I know that the bright like white is I know it's real popular, like on the Explorer 2. Everybody loves the polar dial on that. But here, I like the blue one. I like the blue one a lot. I love the sunburst. I just think those always look good on the Grand Seikos. That white one, I don't know. It's just pulling from your little video about terms. Just having an all white, everything simple with just your red pop of color on the second hand. I just don't really like that on that one. But this blue one, I love the blue one. I think it looks great.
I think they look okay. I'm not enamored with it. I think I would agree with you that the blue one's a bit more interesting. And I see with this background shot clearly the fan. It's not just for pinball layouts anymore. We got a fan configuration for the dial. It's nice and it's clean and it's less interesting than a lot of their other heritage dials to me. I like things like the snowflake and the birch and all of that. I just think they're more visually interesting. This seems like a Seiko Presage watch. That's what this looks like to me. And the Presages are attractive watches. And I actually think this looks better because there's no date. I can see that. But doesn't really click with me. Not a wholly impressive movement to me either. I mean, COSC certified, so I mean, kudos to that. But I don't expect anything less out of Grand Seiko. But it's not one of their high beat movements. It's not the spring drive. It's just a 4 hertz movement. And the price point on these, it's been a while since I've shopped Grand Seikos, but $5,400 US. I found it a little high. I know the article felt it was rather fair in a world where a standard Seiko diver costs over $1,000. But you know what? I'm in an unfair world where we still expect Seikos that are even spring drived to be like under $5,000 if they're this basic. So I don't know.
Right. I would agree with that.
It's okay.
That's higher price than I would have expected for
I would
what it is.
I would never buy this model out of the heritage line, regardless of the price. I just like too many others than this. But I guess if you're kind of looking for a dress watch that actually has a somewhat interesting dial, it's not a bad price, and it's it's got something going on besides just being some sort of flat, plain color thing. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't have experience with the regular mechanical movements out of Grand Seiko, so I don't. It's just I don't. I'd probably go a different route than this, but that's just kind of how it is. Let's see. Before moving on, I see Jason has noted hopefully November for the okay, excellent. Getting very, very close. So that's exciting. And I will take a look at the images that you have sent me. So thank you for that. I see Sushi has clarified that rodent is slang from Archie Luxuries channel for the Urban Gentry. Okay, I've seen Archie's channel before. It's not one I usually watch, however. So I'm sure he wouldn't have very many nice things to say about me either, for that matter. So okay, let's jump to the next watch, Tony. You see, we're making great time. We're making great time here. So how about Gerard Perregaux, another company I never give any credit to because all I think of is a bunch of Royal Oak wannabes. But they do more. They've got horology there. They got stuff. This watch, it's the all right. I think we both have thoughts that aren't going to be the kindest. However, what I want to point out is there's been a lot of fairly lengthy articles, at least 2 that I saw, that really dive into this watch because this, as the name suggests, the Gerard Perregaux Neo Constant Escapement. The thing about it is they've done some really fancy thing with the movement behind this watch. And so it's almost impossible to tell with it put together in this shot, but you can kind of see it's got 2 different escape wheels, not using just one, with 3 teeth each. So it's beating at 3 hertz, but it's designed to do this power distribution thing. It's all about the accuracy, and the idea, one of the challenges with any watch's accuracy is what happens when you're dealing with the mainspring as it unwinds, because the mainspring isn't always at a constant force. Depending how wound it is, will influence how much power is driving through it. Now, there are all sorts of ways that watchmakers have tried to get around it, from the early days of going ahead and making more of an S-shaped configuration to how the spring itself is versus just being a straight coil. That was a very early change, all the way to doing things like Langenzona and some other brands, which will just use 2 mainspring barrels to try and deliver more consistent power. All sorts of little tricks like that. Well, this has just gone like the step further to try and provide this really, really long power reserve with a very, very consistent, accurate amount of power being distributed to the watch as it winds down. So they have a whole thing. I've not watched the video showing how the movement works and all that. So it's got this super, super impressive piece of tech. I think this watch is really ugly, though. So that's where, when I saw your face, Tony, I don't think you reacted in a particularly kind way, but I would love your thoughts. But I wanted to go ahead and brag for them about the movement, because it is really about the movement. But what do you think of this? What do you think of this watch?
I threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Poor GP.
The movement and the tech, all of that is really cool. And I understand why they want to show it off, but I don't think the way they did looks good. It just throws me off. It's like trying to think. It's like C-3PO in the Phantom Menace, all naked and stuff. It feels like It feels like everything's just hanging out, and I'm not really there for it.
Okay. I don't disagree. I love that analogy because I hadn't thought about Phantom Menace 3PO and the abomination that he was. Why was Anakin building a protocol droid? And never mind. I think there was a throwaway line about it, but weren't they mass produced? Wasn't that why they were numbered? I don't know. I don't know. Anytime I watch Star Wars stuff now,
that's for Star Wars with Dennis.
Yes. Look, Star Wars with Dennis. Also, when I watch Lower Decks or Star Trek stuff, anything else and stuff's going on, I now just do mouse droids and just go boop 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 boop. I just sit there. I'm very obnoxious. I try and not do that on the watch channel, but I've just done it. Yes. Here's the thing, and this has been true. Anyone who's watched the channel for a while knows ad nauseum at this point about me. I do not like skeletonized watches. Exhibition casebacks with decorated movements, love them. This sort of stuff, I think it's ugly. It's too industrial. I struggle with it in a variety of configurations. At least it's embraced trying to look modern. I think it's almost borderline the Dead Mouse logo. So maybe if you're into EDM, you'll be like, oh, I got my little slider here for the power reserve. Weeka, weeka, weeka. And we got the little ears for the Dead Mouse. At least it's easy to read the time. So I'll give it that. But
as I was looking at it when you were showing it and talking just now, I came to a realization. I think I know why I dislike it so much. It is a face with its eyes wide open, trying to scream while its mouth is being sewn shut.
Well,
because you can see the eyes,
yes,
they're at the top, and then it's trying to scream. Yep, that's what it is. It's pure horror bait. Perfect for October.
Yes. For the Halloween episode, I should have saved this. Well, perhaps where this watch is going, it won't need eyes to see. But at 105,000 euro, it's not particularly viable for most people. Maybe some of our audience is in the market for $100,000 watches, but you know what? I just think it's so fascinating.
If you are, there's better ones to get. Just
uber
saying.
Powerful movement, grade 5 titanium, super sporty looking watch, 30 meters water resistance. I don't know.
Be very careful while washing your hands.
Yeah, it's just I know there's some people that don't think any watch should be 30 meters water resistance in this day and age. I'm fine with it on dress watches, but beyond that, if you're even looking like you're a sports watch, you need to get at least 50 out of it. Come on, guys. See, Tuna has shared that he thinks this model looks a bit convoluted, but GP is sadly underrated. And you know what, Tuna? With people like me out there, it will always be underrated. And I know it's not fair, but ever since groups like Timepiece Gentlemen tried to make GP a thing, people like me have gone the exact 180 and are like, you know what? GP will never be a thing. When I actually go and shop watches and want to explore new watches that trying to discover things I might like, I actually deliberately don't even look at GP. And I know that's not right. That's unfair because I do it for no other reason other than I've decided that people tried to make it a thing and I'm resisting that. But I don't ever look at their catalog. I'll look at Ulysse Nardon. They both used to be controlled by the same holding company. Yeah, I'll look at UN all day, but I don't give GP the time of day. But I just gave them some free coverage. So hey, how about that? You know who I do give a lot of coverage to, Tony? Chrono Swiss. Do you know the brand Chrono Swiss? I'll remind you because Jason was on the show. You were on the show. I had that bright orange watch that you all hated that I worked really hard to pick out. Really hard. You know what? I'm going to make Chrono Swiss a thing. Even if it kills me. You guys are going to give Chrono Swiss the time of day. You're not going to GP this Chrono Swiss.
Going to happen.
Chrono Swiss is going to happen. I will will this into being. So guess what? Here it is. The Opus Chronograph Titanium. It's not just a classic, Tony. It's a revamped classic. Look at it in all its skeletonized glory.
But it's still better than the GP for being it's skeletonized. It doesn't look like it's screaming at me, begging for help.
Look at this crown, this onion crown. This isn't an onion crown. This is the bloomin' onion from Outback Steakhouse. That's how big of an onion crown this is.
How big is this watch?
It's Chrono Swiss. It's huge. This is what Chrono Swiss does. Don't worry, this is monochrome. They have great stats down at the end. Look, display case back. Look at that blued rotor. Just so exciting. Now, yeah, it's about $14,000, 14,000 Swiss francs. Okay. It's only 41 millimeters in diameter. Yes, it's almost
not bad.
It's almost 15 millimeters thick, which is pretty thick, but it is a chronograph.
Because of the onion crown. The onion crown is 15 millimeters.
But it's grade 5 titanium, so it's going to be super light and polishable because it's grade 5. So it's it's an alloy. We can polish it. It's got a special Chrono Swiss caliber, which granted is a Valjoux 7750 base. So, I mean, other than the fact that this is a skeletonized dial, which I hate, and it's a Valjoux-based chronograph, which I hate. I love this watch because it's Chrono Swiss, and Chrono Swiss is going to be a thing.
Chrono Swiss isn't going to happen.
It's going to happen. Chrono Swiss, call me. We can do a collaboration. We can do the Rangemaster Opus Finder. Or the Bloomin' Onion. We'll get the rights from Outback. We'll make it. We'll have three logos
still
on it.
Exists?
We'll have the Chrono Swiss logo at the 12 o'clock, the watches with Dennis at the 6 o'clock, and at the 9 o'clock, we'll have a sizzling steak.
I will say
the date will be at the 3, so it'll be balanced.
I do like the blue looks nice.
Look at it on this camo strap.
It's so terrible.
G.I. Joe is gonna wear this watch.
Wow, that's. But I mean, I do like.
This is our Commander version.
The blue rotor. I do like how that looks, though it looks a little weird the way it ties in. But no, Chrono Swiss isn't going to happen. Not with this. They're going to have to work a lot harder.
Give independent watchmaking a chance.
I give independent watchmaking a chance, but not this.
Look at this with this green vape.
Is that a vape? You have your skeletonized chronograph on your camo strap, your $15,000 skeletonized chronograph on your camo strap and your vape pen. Oh, I know exactly who this is targeted at, and we're not friends.
Look at it with its green tablet too. This is the Emerald Edition. This is the Wizard of Oz Emerald Edition version.
Does it come with that strap? The Emerald Edition comes with the camo, the like 1980s
it's got to come with the camo strap. Right. Strap, textile Cordura, titanium deployant clasp. I think it comes with both.
Oh man,
we can get it with the textile strap, blue or desert camouflage, depending on the reference number.
Oh, so I can get the desert camo, with a titanium
clasp. Grade 5 titanium. Well, I don't know. The clasp is grade 5. I'm assuming it is. I love this. It's ugly. I would.
Chrono Swiss isn't going to happen. They're going to have to step up if they want to happen.
Help me help you all make Chrono Swiss happen. All right. Catching up a little bit. Tuna says GP has been around for centuries. I don't care. Jason says, I won't forget that. He means the orange Chrono Swiss. That was back when we were talking about that. Apparently, it's traumatized him to a slight degree. If you revamp a classic, it's not a classic anymore because it's now new. Your logic doesn't belong here, Jason. This is Watches with Dennis, not logic with Jason. Okay. The pirates have no power here. Only Chrono Swiss has power. Tuna thinks it's too large and too convoluted and too everything else.
It's just two.
It's just two. All right, fine. All right. We talked a little bit about
titanium, not gold.
No, yeah, this is gold. I wish. More like chronic Swiss. They've been hitting maybe that green thing wasn't a regular vape pen.
Oh,
that's right. It might have been a chronic vape. We don't know. Chrono Swiss does whatever it wants. Whatever it can do. That's how it works. It'll do
whatever it can until it happens. It's just because I'm giving away.
Because I'm giving, and because Chrono Swiss is now a thing. Because I think we've all agreed that watch was great. Let's jump into another field watch. You like field watches, Tony. We talked about that earlier.
Field watches.
So how about, I don't even know how to say this brand. Serica? I'll say Serica for now. Correct me in the chat if you want to. Anyway, here's their new 6190 field chronometer, which apparently is another updated version of a hit classic. Well, I don't know about hit classic, but it's an updated version of the brand's watch. This, incidentally, it's about $1,000 if you're curious about the price.
What is this band?
This is
it almost looks like one of those stretchy bands.
Yes, the stretchy hair pullers. My dad had a watch like this when I was gonna say when I was
Except
growing
for-
up, but I think of that until he retired. I think he always wore those stretchy, rip your hair out of your arm bands. I've only ever had those bands when I've bought classic watches on eBay when I was trying to, during the pandemic when I was working on watches, so I tried and fix broken ones. A bunch of them came on those stretchy hair pullers. Why
I
is
know
this?
they're.
I
It
like
does,
how
but
they posed. I just want to talk a little bit about how they posed this shot. So this is. I'm not quite sure what this is. I think this is one of those ice climby pickaxe things, and this is the
that's
back
what it
of
looks
it.
like.
Here's a
Yeah.
compass. Pruning shears.
Probably a climbing piton or something like that.
Okay, and here's the little clippy things, whatever they call. Well,
Well,
I'm from Kansas, and we don't have mountains, so I don't know what we call these things that clip the things that clip while you climb the mountain. Anyway, I don't know. Go on with what you were going to say, there, Tony. I apologize.
I'm looking at look how the band is twisted in this shot. I don't think it's stretchy. It looks like those metal links don't look like they're the spring style because nothing's holding it open. It's just open.
It's just almost like it's in this shot. I think you're right, Tony. This reminds me of like Zenith's 70s ladder bracelet, except these are really close together. Like they're just folded over hollow in link style. Oh, Mr. Joel Brown, thank you. Who's in the live stream says Bond clip bracelet, not stretchy. Okay, I guess it has an official. Well, of course it would have an official name. Bond clip bracelet. Okay, interesting. I have no idea. It looks super uncomfortable, but maybe they're okay. I don't know. Oh, I hate this shot. I'm sure this is like the window that they are glass they've rested on, but does this not look like condensation is now underneath the crystal of this? Do we want to promote our field watch by saying, hey, this thing gets water in it?
Oh, the next one's even worse. Oh, the next picture is even worse.
Oh, you're looking ahead? Oh,
yes.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No, I can't believe I'm sure this is this has to just be on the outside of it, but what a terrible idea for a photo.
Whose PR idea was it that, hey, let's lay this on top of a piece of ice and then we're going to mist it with the mister from the grocery store that mist the vegetables?
My celery approves of this field watch.
And then we're going to reach down and just give a quick smudge so there's like one little clear spot on it so it looks like you've been out working hard and climbing the mountain and you kind of brushed it off a little to see what time it is. Oh, no, this is...
See, I like this shot better.
Because you don't have to see it.
All right. Now, in terms of dials, what do you think? So they've got two different ones here. I've never been a fan of California dial.
Yeah, I don't like California dials.
Okay, so we're in agreement about that. But what do you think about the just regular Arabic dial?
It's all right. And they've got one that's just got the 12, the 3, 6, 9, and 12 also, it looks like.
The Explorer style. Oh, there we go. Here's a shot of all of them. All right.
So
I mean, I kind of like the handset. I like the handset way better on this than the Islander we talked about.
Yes, I mean, I like that handset too. But
I mean, broad arrow.
I do like
some people
broad
hate
arrow.
broad arrows. I like
the broad arrow.
Okay. It does make me think of the Breitling Super Ocean, but
I see that they have gone with the Omega Happy Little Guy 12 o'clock spot.
Weehoo. Yeah, pointing that out kind of kills it for me. Which of the dials is your favorite?
That's like too many dots. If you look at the center one of those three, when you combine those two little dots with all the other dots, there's just too many dots.
Yeah,
dots everywhere. It's just too many
dots. The one
dots.
on the right is my favorite because, yeah, I agree. This looks like, I don't know. It's like
more dots.
It is. You need more dots. More dots. More dots. That's a World of Warcraft meme for those that cared, which none of you did. Nicholas says, I really like the Serica, but I heard the Soprod movements have issues. I don't know anything about the movement. I have no familiarity with this brand. I'm sure I've read about it before, but apparently this has a new movement. So this is the new Soprod M100 automatic movement. So let's see. It's automatic, 4 hertz, 42 hours of power reserve. Would have kind of liked to see better a larger power reserve if they were making a new movement, but it is what it is, I guess. And here's the thing about the Bond clip that Joel told us about. It's a small but nice update. It now bears the logo, stays the same, fits standard wrist sizes, and there's an extra large version, which is great, which is long version, which is good for larger wrists. I always appreciate the accommodation for folks.
So
and let's see. All right. The old one was 600 or about 700 euros, and they've bumped this up to 1,000 euros. That's quite a uptick. Orange Hand says, case has lyre lugs, which is a nice touch. I do like the lugs. Actually, I like the case shape quite a bit. I'm not, again, as we talked about earlier, I'm not a huge fan of field watch dial configurations in and of themselves. But if I were to go for one, it would definitely be the one with all 12 markers in Arabic, because I don't want mode dots and I cannot stand California dials. So anyway, here are the specs. It's about 38 millimeter watch. Very wearable for someone like me, though. About 47 lug to lug. Thickness is under 11. It's a little thick for a field watch, but it is an automatic, not just a manual wind. So nothing. It's all quite wearable. So I think this would probably do okay for those that are fans of the style that are looking for something. I don't know, though. With like khaki field and stuff like we talked about earlier, Tony, there's just a lot of competition under this price point and up through this price point. There's just a lot of field watches that operate in this
Bring that
space.
back up and scroll back up in the pictures a little bit.
Sure.
I want to keep attacking a couple more pictures. One more, I think. No, one more. This is this is a terrible picture.
Why?
I know what they're going for, how they're trying to show it off, but between the rope around the guy and the big sweater and everything, and the awkward way his arms are holding, it just comes off as the most faked, terrible thing. Well, I don't know.
Well, you may be right, but I'm going to disagree a little bit, because I feel you clearly have not looked at the Audemars Piguet dead person in the plastic lawn chair with a $250,000 watch on their wrist, on their dead wrist, because that. I'm thinking at the end of the year, I'm going to do like my 5 worst watch things of 2023, and that one currently is number 1, and I think it's going to stay that way. And that's even going with Orient having their misprint dial where they messed up the minute markers because they put out I didn't do a video on it. There are plenty of other channels that did. That was a big blunder, but okay. So anyway, that was fun. All right. How about smartwatch? I never talk about smartwatches, but apparently Garmin, which I think Garmin's always gotten kind of a bad rap for having really ugly smartwatches. Maybe it was a fair rap. Maybe I shouldn't say a bad rap. Let's just say when I've heard about smartwatches, Garmin hasn't been at the top of the list. But I saw these, so I thought I'd bring them up to see what you think. They're smart, and their watches, carbon fiber case, which, hey, it's a throwaway watch. Why not use a throwaway material?
Well, as long as you're not diving too deep.
Yeah.
After that sub, after that too soon.
No, it's not. And I'll tell you why. What was too soon was when Tudor then unveiled that FXD watch in carbon fiber the week that sub imploded. That was too soon.
I'm not, I've looked into smartwatches 2 or 3 times because I've thought, hey, it's something that would be nice. And I've just never, I realized that carrying my phone around, I'm connected enough. I don't think I need any more connection. I like the more physical, minimal type of connection that I get from a regular watch, just because sometimes you need just a little touch of something. And I consider that it, but that's it. Almost everybody I know wears smartwatches anymore. I'm one of the few.
When I look, I see a lot of people wearing watches now, which I think for watch fans should be a positive. But yeah, They are usually smartwatches, and they're usually Apple watches, quite frankly.
Typically. I still remember I sat in on an interview with a guy, and he had in the interview, He had a Seiko Prospex that wasn't his.
What? Whoa! How would you ask him? Hey, is that your watch? And he's like, "No, I stole it."
I didn't ask him. It was so missized that every time he moved his hand while he was talking, it spun around like a bracelet. Just like a big, like those big loopy party bracelets. I mean, it didn't even come close to fitting. Then you could also see the outline on his hand because it was so loose, it moved everywhere. You could see the tan line of his Apple Watch. And
he was trying to impress you guys.
And then when he actually got hired and he showed up on day one, it was with an Apple Watch on.
Okay. So, well, that's good. Who knows what would have happened to that Seiko if it was that loose. So these are 46 millimeter cases, so quite beefy. Here's the thing, and I'm similar. I don't begrudge people wearing smartwatches. I think it's totally fine.
Agreed.
It's just as watch-like as any other watch, really. It's just a question of what you're after. But the pricing on these is what caught my eye besides their smartness. So they're all about $3,000. And my question is, if you were to spend $3,000 on a watch, like how long do these work before you have to upgrade? Because to me, $3,000 is well into luxury territory. I expect the watch to last a lifetime. Just needs a service, not, oh, wait, it's bricked now because the iOS is too old.
No, as far as I'm concerned, the sweet spot for smartwatches is $300 to $500.
I think you're right.
I think that's the sweet spot. I would be willing to go after one for that price, but this watch is more expensive than some of the watches that are on my short list, like the Oris Big Crown. And I mean, this watch isn't that far below some of the Tudors. There's no way that I would ever go for a smartwatch because smartwatches are inherently, as you said, disposable. I just I couldn't bring myself to drop $3,500 for a smartwatch.
Yeah.
Didn't we just see the news articles where the old Apple, the gold Gen 1 Apple watches are no longer supported?
Yep.
So, and those were like the super expensive.
Yeah. They were 5-figure. Yep. Which isn't surprising given they were gold cased, but yeah. Ouch. I think the garments, I think they did a good job making it look good with the UI and everything, but I agree. It's just at that price point, I can't really see it. Tuna agrees 3,000 is way too much. Jason feels that your guy came in with the Apple Watch was fired the next day.
He was not fired the next day.
He lasted a week, later. So that was great. Tuna also wants to note that he agreed with you about the concerns with Mr. Woolly Jumper Rope Mountain Climber guy. That was a little fake.
Yeah, I understand. There's this whole let's sell this stuff. We're just showing, oh, look, just like, oh, I'm on my yacht and I'm driving this really fast sports car, but
I'm dead in a plastic lawn chair.
It's the end of the world. Here's the zombie. That's what it needs. You need to have that picture and then just Photoshop some of the zombies from The Walking Dead in the background walking up to the guy in the picture. There you go. That's what you need.
Yes. I will also note Orange Hand feels that for $3,000 it better have a black bay in the box with it.
That's true.
I like that. That is very good. So let's see. We have got, don't worry guys, we've got plenty of other stuff. All right. Let's jump even more expensive because why not? All right. Breguet. Oh, Breguet. How I want to love you. And how I struggle ever so mightily. So these are the Marine Tourbillon 5577s. You can see there are a couple variants. I'm sure this is probably platinum. We'll see in a moment. Gold, obviously. With tourbillons at the interesting position of, 5 o'clock? So, yeah. The Marine historically is one of my favorite Breguet configurations, the last generation of it. I have struggled, 950 platinum or 18 karat pink gold. I have struggled mightily, Tony, with this look to the numerals, how they're filled in. To me, it reminds me of those like those what do you call them, like the lapel pin things, that the die cast stamped pins that everyone, that we get for stuff like podcast. Like we got some for our pinball podcast.
Oh yeah, like the
you have on your back.
Yeah,
what are those
the
things?
pins?
Yeah, pins.
They're
like
pins.
The cheap little pins you get that you give away as for stuff that people wear on their lapels and put on their bags and hats and stuff. That's what this looks like to me. These numerals look like they are like die cast pins that someone went
stuck on
and like order 2,000 of them for $20. And and I think it's because they're loomed, but I just think it's super, super unattractive. And that's how they've all been lately with this new generation of these Marines. But
the other thing I hate is
I like the dial, but
see, I don't. I think it looks like plastic.
Oh, you don't. I see the sunburstiness, but it's not centered. See, it's almost bursting away from the tourbillon.
Yeah, it's offset. It looks weird. It almost looks plastic. And to me, to be fair, and I know it's not their only thing, but if I see a brigade that does not have guilloche, I feel like I'm missing something. But I think this almost feels like, and I know it's brigade, so they're gold that's been colored and all of that, but it almost feels like almost like vinyl. It's like it's a vinyl dial. It just because of how the sunburst looks and the way it's balanced and everything, it looks really awkward. See, now that's not bad on the back.
Well, yeah, no, that's sadly for me, that's I should almost say it's a running joke at this point, where the brigades look better from the back, which it's not an ideal. Yeah, I know. Like there's the joke about on Reddit, like if you post a picture of a longa, you need to post the picture of the back. You have to pay the longa tax because the movements are so attractive. But the dials look good too. They don't. You might argue that the movement looks better, but the dial doesn't look bad. On these, I'm okay with the dial. I agree with you. I would rather see like rose turned guilloche because it's brigade and they do such a good job with it. And the older Marines did that. So another point in favor of the old discontinued Marines, but and they might still have some that do it in the current gen, but yeah. So anyway, how much do you think these are?
Too much.
Well, you're right, because they're about 100 and so about 150 to 175,000 US dollars.
I will be honest, that is about 30% higher than I was expecting.
42.5 millimeter cases, very thin, 9.35 millimeters thick. I was surprised too when I saw the pricing. I mean, I knew they'd be more than the steel versions, but I did not think these would be six figure. I should have, because they're tourbillons, but still, that's the thing.
And I'm always going to have a problem. $161,000 and a rubber strap.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least on one, you can get matching. You can get it on alligator. You don't have to. You could get rubber or alligator,
and somehow that doesn't change the price.
Either way, you look at this one. This one's alligator,
and it looks better.
I don't know about this like nautical wheel clasp thing. I get it. It's the Marine. Maybe that's a little on the nose. I don't know. But Jason does agree with you though, Tony. Brigade equal guilloche.
I wouldn't, if I was buying a brigade, it would have to have guilloche. I'd feel wrong otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, I'd say I could, maybe if I was really into like the Type 20 or something, I could see going in a different direction in that regard, but it's tough for me to say. I don't know. All right, moving on from brigade. So I guess that's not a winner. I see Tuna says an XXX pound tourbillon with a plastic strap. Well, I ask you, what do you ask us, Tuna? What do you ask? We don't know, unless you say we won't ever know. All right, let me navigate to our next gleeful thing to go ahead and hit upon. All right. How about Zenith? Chronomaster Sport came out with these a few years ago. Biggest criticism that the Chronomaster Sport had was it looks like a Daytona knockoff.
Yeah.
So they've done a change. Steel bezels. But otherwise, it's very much the Chronomaster Sport we're used to, except those came black and white, now sunburst blue. Otherwise, pretty much the same. Tricolor, subdial configuration, 430 color match date window, 1/10 of a second markings around. So the centralized chronograph seconds goes around the dial once every 10 seconds, which is what their new El Primero movement allows. Display case back, automatic winding, which of course is what the El Primero is known for. So that's the modern movement. This pink one, incidentally, is like for breast cancer awareness. So they also have like a 500 unit thing or something going on with that. But otherwise, it's just they threw it in the same article, but the article was really about the blue version. So anyway, and the pricing is completely on par with where they've been at, about 11,500 Swiss francs. It tends to run around 12,000 US retail. So 41 millimeter diameter, same sizing, 47 millimeter lug to lug, very wearable watch, under 14 millimeters thick. And that is with an automatic chronograph. So, and 100 meters of water resistance. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this?
I love a stainless steel bezel. I love the look. I'm a big fan of it. I know it falls into the same reason I like field watches and all of that is because it's the simple, feels more minimal. I just love the look. I'm not a big fan of more than 2 subdials on a watch. I've come to learn. I have a watch that has more than 2 subdials, and I find it so busy. I don't wear it pretty much ever. But the fact that they are all 3 different colors, I think helps, but it's still super busy to me. But that's just a personal thing because I know this triple subdial is super popular. I do like the blue starburst, and I like the pink one too. The pink one looked good as well. But I don't have any big problems with this one. I wouldn't buy one, obviously, just because, like I said, it's too busy. It feels too busy for me. I think that's part of the reason that the Speedy I like is the 2 subdial Speedy, because anything more than that just feels like too much to me. But it's fine. I mean, honestly, it might be one of the best watches we've looked at so far. Of course, based upon what has been released, I know why none of these were released at a big show or anything special.
Yeah. It's been interesting. Of course, with the cooling off on the watch market, I'm not too surprised. This is all just basically really iterative. I get it that the pink one's for a particular project, and Zenith has done interesting collaborations before where they do things like, obviously they violate their tricolor approach when they do certain styles like this, because again, it's all just to emphasize the pinkness, which I agree. It actually looks really, really good. I think that I don't have any watches. I don't have any watches that are salmon or any shade of pink at this time. I actually have like neckties and stuff that are breast cancer awareness ones. So this integrates very well with it's a good shade. I think that works well with that look. This I do like a lot. Of course, I like sunburst. I think the blue is a good color. The tricolor, I like the tri-dials. I do like this configuration a lot. This is, and I know Orange Hand has touched on this, so this is a good point. It looks like the pre-ceramic Daytona, which is interesting because it's called the Zenith pre-ceramic Daytona because when the Rolex Daytona had the El Primero base movements in them, they were using the steel ceramic, and then they eventually went to their own movement. They always heavily modified it, but they've since then been doing ceramic bezels. I agree with you. I really like how stainless steel looks on this. You don't see this approach very much anymore out of chronographs. So I think that in and of itself, obviously, if you know the history like Orange Hand does, you might still get a Daytona vibe. But that watch was so long ago at this point. I think this helps it not feel like it's trying to be a Daytona clone. If anything, I feel like it's almost embracing more of the Zenithness of that Daytona and emphasizing that Zenith had a lot to do with that model. So I like that. I don't think it's overly busy from my perspective, but I do have a Zenith. It's one of the Chronomaster originals, which is an even smaller watch with basically the same amount of text on it, even more text actually. I unlike Nicholas, who he is an opponent, as many people are, of windows that sort of exist in that 4 o'clock space. And I get that. I actually really like how it looks on this, and I would, even if I didn't, I give Zenith a pass because they kind of pioneered this date window placement, because that's how the original El Primero movements had to accommodate the date, or chose to accommodate the date. So whereas everyone else might do it for aesthetic reasons, Zenith did it from a design standpoint back when they created their original El Primero movement. So I'm okay with it, but I'd probably be more annoyed if it was like stark white, but they color matched it. So I think it looks pretty good. Jason loves the blue. Yeah, but I'm a sucker for starburst style and sunburst, radiant style dials, fume dials, anything like that kind of wins me over almost by default. I just think it looks really, really clean and different than the usual black and white we've been kind of seeing out of these sport lines. So I'm glad they've been doing more. The sport lineup for Zenith was actually very, very successful for them when the pandemic hit. Like, there was a wait list for them. They were actually selling for retail price, which was unusual for Zenith, which usually takes a bath on the secondhand market. Lately, their Chronomat, like, you can go to Joma Shop and find these at discount, not the blue ones. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a wait list for these. I would assume probably not for long, not any longer than we'd see out of Tudor initially, where sometimes when a Tudor drops, there's like that 4 to 6 months where people sort of struggle to get them, and then they're everywhere, plentiful. So I'm glad we didn't see a big markup on the price, though. So they didn't, like Zenith, I think, Zenith kind of knows their place. They know they can't really be a market driver pushing prices up a whole bunch. So well, with that said,
like,
let's go ahead and go
$50,000 Zenith.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, in their Defy line, they can get a little and kudos to them for the Defy line, because we're not going to cover any Defy lines today, but like, they do a lot of they're experimental. Like, I don't think a lot of times people, if you're like me and you hear the word Zenith, you think El Primero, but they actually do a lot of experimentation in the Defy line, and I think it's pretty creative. Kind of like how if you say Cartier, I'm going to think Tank and Santos, but they actually do a lot of creativity in their design. Like, they take risks. I think in the case of Cartier, they do it because they're a jewelry brand and they can do what they want because they make all their money on necklaces. And in the case of Zenith, I think they're just given a certain degree of freedom in the Defy line. And then they have their more commercial stuff. And the Chronomaster Sport has been very successful, especially since people who can't get Daytonas get frustrated. And the Zenith is very wearable, which, as we talked about earlier, like with that Chrono Swiss, which everyone loved, but they had some questions about wearability. You don't have that question with Zenith. If anything, you might worry it's too small. But I think the Sport's very, 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 very appropriately sized for a lot of people. Let's move to a little bit more affordable. It'll be luxury, but not high end on the luxury scale. Let's talk Zodiac. So you want to talk about derivative and designs that already exist? Let's talk about their Super Seawolf in green. All right. They have two styles of Super Seawolf. There's this classic style, which I don't like as much, and then they have the more modern looking one with like the more modern indices and stuff. But anyway, it's 200 meters of water resistance. It's very, very green. It's sunburst. It's kind of a forest green sunburst, which is nice. You got these big triangles, very, very, I feel, 70s looking design choice. It's about 1,500. Yeah, it's about 1,500 US dollars. So this actually has a bronze bezel insert, which I did not realize originally. No, I'm sorry. They had one that came with a bronze bezel insert. I was like, that doesn't look bronze to me. I was confused. All right. So this is the ceramic insert, 60-minute scale, like you would expect. Well loomed sort of watch, steel bracelet. Yeah, 1,600 US dollars. This is not a particularly creative color choice for them. Like, they've done things that are like sherbet colored. They've got I had a watermelon one at one point. They had a really stark sky blue one, which I thought was pretty sharp looking. But what are your thoughts on this more classic styling?
It is inoffensive.
That's very kind of you.
I mean, that's
What would it need to do to offend you?
Well, it would have to look like that GP.
I approve because it was at GP's expense.
But no, it's just another Super Seawolf. I'm not a huge fan of the Super Seawolves, modern or classic. I don't really like the indices on the newer ones. It's functional, but it doesn't do anything special for me. None of them have. I don't like the giant throwback 70s triangles of enormous amounts of loom. I'm not a big fan of the case design on it. It doesn't really do anything for me. And I'm a big fan of dive watches and such, but it just, nah.
Yeah, and I don't think they don't typically do very big dive watches. I'm not quite one of the things I wish a blog to watch would do would be better position the specs. But yeah, 39 millimeters. So it's not they're on the smaller side for dive watches, which is nice for like my wrist, for example. I actually agree with you quite a bit. I've never been enamored with this more vintage style dial configuration. I greatly prefer and actually really like the modern dial configuration. My problem, and maybe I should give them another chance at some point, is I had such a bad QC experience. I've kind of don't trust Zodiac at this point. I also wish, as much as I like how they will take, and they don't really here, as you noted, inoffensive. I like that they've been kind of taking chances with colorways and being experimental, but that's all they're doing. It feels like, other than that, and like the occasional like titanium, or they had those summer ones that they looked ceramic, but I guess it was steel watches that were then cased ceramic, which I guess helped keep the price down. But again, it was really about the color. Other than the color, they're basically doing two watches. They do this dial and they do the modern dial, and they just change the colors. And they should do that.
Is it dark emerald green really out there? Is it really experimental?
No.
Is it really anything?
But again,
flashy?
It's not. But they do the more flashy ones with the modern dial configuration, I feel. And then with these, they just do a lot of different colors. Not risk taking, but not. It's just they don't make a ton of watches. I want to think I read they make something like 3,000 to 5,000 a year, something small. It's not very many. The Fossil Group owns them, so, and I guess they're left fairly independent, other than they're using a lot of the in-house movements that Fossil's developed. But I would like to see Zodiac do. It's kind of like Doxa in a way, or Panerai. You want to go in another dive watch brand? It's like, maybe do something that doesn't look like these two configurations. And I know they have a few others that aren't really popular, but they're all dive watches. I don't know. Maybe Zodiac can't do anything but a dive watch. I mean, that's the only heritage they've got, is like, people will say, oh yeah, Zodiac, they had the big hit popular dive watches back when Rolex had the Submariner and Blancpain had the 50 Fathoms, right? It's one of the big three, except obviously it's the only one that's affordable at this point. But even that now, I remember when I got mine just a few years ago, it was only a hair over, like, I think it was around 1,200 retail. And of course, everything's coming up, but I mean, you're getting into a point where I don't know. It's okay. It might still be affordable enough that this would be a good option for people. I definitely wouldn't go with this particular one, but
like I said, I was looking at the one you spoke about, the bronze one that they did, and it definitely looks way better than this emerald one, because it's got like the more traditional black and white dial, and it's got the pebbled dial that I like so much. So I'm kind of but even then, it's not something I would necessarily go after. I think it looks better than that emerald.
Yeah, I will say this is like, and I think it is the same bracelet as they have on the more modern dial face ones. The bracelet was excellent when I had the Zodiac. That one of the best bracelets I've ever owned, because it has a little bit of give, almost like elastic in the clasp. So even though it's a butterfly style clasp, it wore really well. And if your wrist swole a little bit, it was okay, which is not typical. So So anyway, in terms of the chat, I see Jason has noted that it's actually Cartier bracelets more than the necklaces that they make their money on. Okay, I don't know. I just made up something. And he noted that the Zenith Defy line are hot sellers in the store that he works at, so that's good to know. I've looked at a few Defies. I've never found one that I liked enough to try to pull the trigger on. They've either had something about the look that doesn't appeal to me, or I see the price tag and I'm like, okay, that's outside of the range I'm willing to go. Tuna thinks that the Zodiac looks nice. I agree. It's inoffensive. I do like the sunburst effect and that rich. I think that rich color of green does work. I had a Rolex Oyster Perpetual at one point that was kind of this shade, though I felt they pulled off the sunburst better. But of course, it was also a significantly more expensive watch. And Jason thinks it looks like a vintage Oris. I don't know vintage Oris well enough to opine on that. Now, here's a weird one. I almost didn't include this one, Tony, because Union Glashütte is not sold in the United States. Not directly, at least last I looked. It's a Swatch brand, though, so you'd think it would be, but it's just not.
Interesting.
I hear different stories. I don't know what's true or not. I hear it's like built in the basement of Glashütte Original, like their factory, like they share space or something. Obviously, with the name Glashütte, you know they're at least in the same town as Glashütte Original, Nomos is in Glashütte, all Langenzonen is in Glashütte, like all the big ones are in Glashütte. But it's always been kind of an interesting brand because it's sort of if you like Gio and Langa's look, they kind of like, they're less the Bauhaus look and they're more that other German look, and they're way cheaper than Gio and Langa are. So I've actually looked at their watches for a while, but so this is the Johann Durstein edition, which I know they've done some in that Johann line before, so I've seen some of this look from time to time. But even though they're not really available here easily, at least, I thought I'd get your impressions because, hey, you like dual subdial versus tri-subdial chronographs, so here's one for you to consider.
Well, I already know you absolutely despise it because I see the numbers cut off on the dial.
Well, it is a cheap brand, so what could they? They couldn't really afford to come up with a good look.
I actually think for the most part, it looks pretty good. I like the round case, and I think the white subdials under the silver doesn't look that bad at all, especially with those blue hands on top. I said I don't know much or anything really about them, but I have to say this is my new favorite of the watches we've looked at tonight.
Wow. More than the Breguet?
I didn't like the Breguet.
More than the Chrono Swiss?
Well, it's so hard. That Chrono Swiss has a special place in hell set aside for it. So,
now, Jason says that the date window is killing him.
The 6 o'clock bright white date window?
Yes, that date window.
Yeah, it kind of bothered me when I first saw it. This is
the budget German engineering, Jason. What do you want? They had to sacrifice something. This ain't GO. This is UG. Yeah, I mean, in terms of my thoughts, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, the cropping annoys me, as you know. I actually like the look of the applied numerals. I think the hands are interesting. I'm okay with that. I like the subdials. I don't love I think there's a little bit of texturing to them, so I think they actually look better in person than they probably do in the photos. The white date window is such a miss, though.
It is.
That alone is pretty sad. Also, for a look like this, I'm not a huge fan of these rectangular pushers. I'm more like the pump pushers. I like that more vintage round pusher look, but it's okay. I mean, that wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, but yeah, I don't know. See, in this shot, it looks like the date window is color matched. But
it's just so the way the shadow is
so sunken that I think it's
the shadow.
Well, just keep the watch Keep the watch in shadow and it'll look fine, guys. What do you want for? How much do you think this watch is? Probably won't be US dollar. 3,600 euro. Okay.
Okay.
It's a limited edition. Okay. Also, yeah, they do a lot of limiteds too. They're like the Seiko of Germany. So 300 piece. Yeah, 42 millimeter. So it's actually a little bit bigger than I thought. 14.23 millimeters thick. That's not bad for a chronograph.
It's got a pusher on the left. I did not see that in any of the pictures. Did they just hide it?
They've hidden it. Notice all the photos are so you can't really see the left. They masked it. Ooh, clever girl. What did it say about did it say something in the specs on it?
Yeah, I thought
it said chronograph pushers on right and one pusher to adjust the date on the left. Oh, I'm wondering, I mean, Longa has a protruding one. I wonder if that's a sunken one that you need like a toothpick to toggle.
Maybe.
I had a Hamilton that had that. It was on the right, but it did that. It was a sunken pusher and they had an actuator that you were to use. I often just used a toothpick because it was soft and wouldn't scratch it. But which it was kind of annoying if you didn't wear the watch all the time. But
right.
Yeah, so vertically brushed silver. I do like I did want to comment on that. I do like the vertical brushing. I think that's an interesting look. Kind of reminds me of linen dials, like linen cloth dials. Like some old Rolexes did that. Let's see. The blued hands. Syringe style is not my favorite look, but it was all right. Unfortunately, though, the movement is a 750 base value because, again, it's an affordable brand. So that'd be a deal killer even if I loved everything else about the watch. I won't touch value-based chronos ever again. But
your lesson has been learned.
Except for Chrono Swiss. There's always an exception, Tony. And Chrono Swiss will make anything good. So
it's not going to happen.
Well, you know what will happen? Seiko's going to have exclusives that are limited in some capacity.
They've never done that before.
That's right. Well, these aren't true LEs.
They're gonna do a collaboration with a major brand like Hello Kitty or Honda.
Yes. Now, before moving on, I will note Orange Hand said the Limitry edition bugs me, especially since they went with the made in Germany and English. Oh, okay, the two different languages.
That's a good point.
That was a good point. I should have called that out when I still had it on the screen. Jason says, I'd buy it just to drill the hole further down to align with the numerals. Well, yeah, but you've got that watch dealer money, Jason. That's why you can do that sort of stuff. And Tuna says, Union Glashütte is an interesting brand. I don't know if he means that in a positive, a negative, or in a truly, just interesting brand way. But I think we could take it in all three ways. But speaking of interesting brands, Seiko. 3 new U.S. exclusive Seiko 5 SKX sports style. They're not SKXs. They're just in the style because they're Seiko 5s now. So, hey, look. We got the Pepsi, got the two-tone, and we got the sporty one. It's
with
very
a
exciting.
big splash of yellow.
Splash of yellow. Bumblebee. So, Cyclops at the 3 o'clock. I know it's already winning you over. GMT. Got GMT hand. Hey, this one actually extends a big distance, not like that new limited edition they came out with.
Yep.
The Pepsi part's on the inside, not on the exterior bezel. It's on the GMT section on the inside. Here's a look at the two-tone. I'm scrolling down so we can see the prices. Less than $500. 42.5 millimeter. So decent size. 46 millimeter lug to lug. So still pretty wearable. Seikos often don't have very long lug to lugs. So that's nice. Thickness is a little under 14 millimeters. These are hardlex crystal, not sapphire. Not surprising for the Seiko 5 line. And using the 4R34 GMT collar style GMT movement, 41 hour approximately power reserve with a 3 hertz movement with 100 meters of water resistance. Not signed crown. That's standard for Seikos at this price point. And it's not in the turtle case, but they've used that kind of 4 o'clock crown system. What are your thoughts, Tony?
I like the yellow one fine enough.
What about the two-tone
I'm not a big fan of it overall. I don't really like the two-tone one. It's weird to me that it's two-tone, but it's just like the bezel.
Yep.
I'm used to when I'm seeing two tones that it's followed into the bracelet as well and other places. So that makes it a little weird to me. And we know, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Cyclopses. I'm not going to throw a watch out or deny a watch because it's got a Cyclops, but I'm not a huge fan of them. I do like bright colored things. So the bright colored watches are always fun. So the yellow one I like. The two tone is just weird, and the Pepsi. We all know what I think about Pepsi dials. So,
Yeah.
but it's a Seiko 5. It's okay. I'm not huge on it.
I think they look decent. I think they actually look pretty good, and especially given under $500 for a GMT, I would. Correct. Other than the two tone, I would definitely consider these. I think I would agree with you. I'd probably get the yellow one. There's sort of a plastically look to the. I mean, granted, the Explorer 2's red hand is sort of the same, and orange hand for that matter, kind of the same way. But given that, I just think it looks more playful to go ahead and have the yellow along with it. Mm-hmm. The two tone. I will note it does look like it almost is like a sunburst. I think it's a sunburst style black. I like that. I don't like this yellow hand, and I do not like the two-toning of the edge of the bezel without two-toning the bracelet. What a weird lack of commitment.
It's
Just
so
do the
weird.
whole thing. Do the whole thing. They've done it before. I've seen other two-tone watches from Seiko. They definitely got plenty of that fake gold around. So I don't know why they just cheaped out on that. I just don't think it looks good. I like the Pepsi fine. It gets the same like matte dial aesthetic, so I'd go for that over the two tone. But the yellow would definitely be my pick. It's just more fun. It makes me think of Bumblebee, so you can always scream out his name when you're sad. But yeah, I think it's all right. Bumblebee. I'm not in the market for any GMT watches, but yeah, for for a GMT, it's a very approachable price point. If you want a traveler GMT, though, Miyota Movement Citizen's got some that are showing up in a lot of like micro brands and stuff that are going to be price competitive. So if you don't want the collar style GMT, you might want to look into that instead. Speaking of Seiko, we're almost done, Tony. We only got 3 more of these. So
3 more Seikos?
Hey, we got more. Now we've got the Seiko Prospex Landmaster. Gotta get close to my Landmaster 30th anniversary, the SLA 071 watch. Hey, look at that. It's got a steel compass bezel. I've never understood compass bezels, but here you go. Here's a compass bezel, and it's 200 meters of water resistance, and it doesn't have a Cyclops over the 3:00 date, and it's very steely. And apparently the Landmaster came out in 1993, and so now they're celebrating the 30th anniversary with this. This is a cult favorite, according to this article. It's a cult favorite. So here you go. This actually is not steel, though. It's titanium. Blue gradient style dial, which I think is an interesting look here because it's a very kind of textured gradient to the gradient as well. So I think that's kind of cool. I definitely get the 90s vibes out of this watch.
Definitely. I really like this watch. This is definitely the best watch we've looked at tonight. I like the blue.
You just said that about the Glashütte.
Well, I know, and the Glashütte is just gone now. He had already lost it. Happened. Glashütte happened for a short time. You know, the thing that will never happen with Chrono Swiss, and then they.
What about Chrono Swiss?
It's not going to happen. But I actually like this. Again, like I've said earlier tonight and before, I like the steel bezel. I like the look. The loom looks nice. It does look like a very 90s watch, but at the same time, I do like how it is. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing.
Okay. I want to take a page out of a Blog to Watches podcast because they play this game. And I don't know this because I haven't looked down at the bottom of this article, but so here we've looked at the watch. I've told you it's titanium. It's driven by the 8L35 caliber. So as a rule of thumb, the movements get better in Seiko's head the higher the number before the letter. So 4R, 6R, 8, whatever, in this case an L. The higher that first number, the better the movement. You can see it's a 4 hertz, not a 3 hertz. And it's still not COSC certified, but minus 10 to plus 15 seconds is higher than they rate their like 6R and 4R movements. I want you to guess the price of this watch.
Oh, that's not fair because I've already seen it.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I have it opened and I've got it open.
I'm going to guess the price is $3,000 then. Oh, I was too high. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I don't actually think 2,600 is bad for this watch.
It's limited. Oh, it's because, hey, it's Seiko. We got to limit.
It's Seiko. What's not limited?
1,000. It's 1,000.
It's limited to 1,000, but
yes.
No, I don't think that's a bad price for this watch. I would be more than willing to spend that.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't be in the. I don't know. I'd have to read like how to use a compass bezel. I've never understood them. So I just don't think. I just don't. But I like the look. Like I like how 90s it is. I want to see how much a 90s one is. Maybe I'd just try and get a 90s one. I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know what they sell for on the market.
But I do think Seiko. I think Seiko pulled this off really well. I do think overall I see why it's a cult. I see why it's a cult classic. And I do like the approach they took with the dial. That's attractive. Now, Tuna says, once upon a time, folks just bought a boring old Seiko to tell the time. A limited edition was never a thing. But Tuna, look at this. Is this boring? I mean, compared to the Chrono Swiss, yes. But compared to everything else, are you not entertained? Look at that. Look at that weird shieldy. I want to be Tag Heuer shieldy thing. Poor Tag. I don't have any tags for us tonight. What I do have is Hanhart. You know Hanhart.
Hanhart?
I don't know. I didn't even know.
Man.
I got Hanhart. The Primus Fly Navy chronograph. Limited edition. I'm going all in on limited editions. So look at it. Look at it in its blue. Look at this Poseidon, look at me trident going on here. It's like I'm on a boat. If you didn't know this was a Navy watch, that Poseidon's about to spear you with his second hand, should tell you. It's only 2 subdials, Tony, your favorite. A master subdial and an apprentice subdial. So apparently Hanhart's been around since the 1800s. Here we go. We got dots. We got arrows. It's got some Flieger style markings. We got this it's display case back, but it's obfuscated Grand Seiko style with a giant freaking watermark thing with more freaking tridents. Poseidon all up in this thing, all over the place. Cloth strap. Look at that red button going all red on it. What do you think of this watch?
At least it's a limited edition that's actually limited because it looks like it's limited to 150.
Look at this bird. At least one of them. Birdie. All right.
I don't like it.
2 sizes. Steel variant is €2,700. Black PVD is €3,200. But if you're in the Navy, Naval Air Command, and Naval Air Squadron, you can get a 25% discount.
I do not like the kind of skeletonized hands. I hate that look. The open center hands.
I don't mind it. I don't really love the shape, but I'm okay with the skeletonized hands. But I'm kind of used to, I mean, like, that's one of the complaints some people have with these Omega Seamasters is the skeletonized hour and minute hand that they've got. But yeah, no, I don't really like this. But
and what is up with the 2 bright screws right in the middle of the dial? They're blacked out on that one. On the other one, they're silver.
Because they're polished so that you can be impressed by them. It's Hanhart.
We put screws under glass.
It's Tuna. Admittedly, it doesn't look too bad. Now, maybe he's talking about the Seiko, or maybe he's talking about this. We don't know. Who knows when I loaded this chat message up or when it was typed. But I'm going to say he likes this. It's probably because of this red chronograph button. Because you're like, what does the red button do? Probably the same thing it does on every Valjoux-based chronograph. See, this is immediately dead to me. Because it's a Valjoux-based Solita movement. Blech. So you know that rotor is going to be awful. Unfortunate. Not a bad price given how limited it is, I suppose, and that it's a chronograph that's mechanical, but yeah, it doesn't really resonate with me either. All right. We've done a lot of watches, Tony. Here's the last one I've got for us. How about the French?
Woo-hoo.
I hardly ever talk about French brands because there are hardly any to talk about. But Yema has perhaps the worst named watch of the night, the Yachting Graph. The Yachting Graph Tourbillon Mariograph. So not only is it the Yachting Graph, we've got Nintendo all up in this thing with the Mariograph. That's probably not how it's said, but that's how I'm saying it because it's late. I'm tired and I don't speak French.
I'm sure in French it sounds amazing. When they say it in French, it's probably just like pure raw liquid sex appeal rolling off their tongues when they say it. But yeah, that is a mouthful.
So let's go over the specs really quick. So this is a $10,000 watch. Limited edition. There are two different models, 75 limit on each of them. 100 meters of water resistance, 42.5 millimeter diameter watch, 14.5 millimeters thick, using their 3 hertz chronograph movement with 105 hours of power reserve. And not only is it time and tidal indicator, it also has a dive bezel. But look at that tidal indicator. It tells you the tide. And it is a tourbillon. A tourbillon for $10,000 is very approachable.
That is very approachable. But
look at this gold.
I'm looking at the back and
don't look at the back.
I just don't understand why you make, a see-through case back and then you just cover everything with bridges so you can't see anything.
Well, bridges are very valuable. I think, here's my thing. I just don't, and Yema's done this on other movements that I've looked at of theirs. They do this. I know you like dials that kind of have that, the frosted dial or the sort of the bead blasted look. I think it's technically called frosted. They do that on the bridges. And I think it just looks really industrial and lazy. Like you might as well not decorate them at all. I guess I would say it's better than just like like looking at like a Tudor movement. But it just seems like that's what they do is they just frost the bridges, which I'm sure they just I just imagine it like going and powder coating pinball machines. It's like people spend hundreds of dollars and I don't think it looks all that impressive. And that's what it looks like. So they did all that. And then, they don't have to show anything else off because, hey, look, it's like, maybe they polish these in some way. I don't know. It's okay. I don't think it's ugly, but it's surprisingly unimpressive given that they gone to the trouble of putting a tourbillon in the watch. But Orange Hand here says Richard Mille got his start at Yema, which I had no idea about. So that's interesting. And better than the Breguet Marine tourbillon, which I do agree with. This is a significantly better looking watch than that. My problem with Yema, and for him, for Orange Hand, it's a hard pass. My problem with Yema is its reputation precedes it as having horrid customer service, especially when you need to get the watches worked on, which apparently is pretty common. Or purportedly is pretty common. So unfortunately for me, that would make it a pass for me. I also don't really love the dial is very safe, but I don't love it. Like I don't like the tidal indicator. I think that's weird. I'd rather just have had the tourbillon. It's very important
for when you're yachting.
I guess. You know what? That's a fair point, Tony. I think I'm rejecting this watch for the name alone. Chrono Swiss would have known how to name this watch.
The Yachting Graph.
The Yema Yachting Graph Tourbillon Mariograph. You know what? I think that the Sonic Graph Delos Gears of War Graph would beat this watch.
I think it's just the Yo Graph.
The Yo Graph.
The Yo Graph.
Look, if you are a bro graph, you can get this Yo Graph and you can wear it. Graph. I think we've clearly gone far too long at this point because I know my brain tells me that wasn't funny at all, but I tried nonetheless. All right. Well, we got through all 15 of them, all 15 of the screens. So takeaway, what was your favorite overall?
The Landmaster. It was the Landmaster.
Okay.
Easily. I of all of these watches, the Landmaster is the one that I could most readily see myself getting and wearing and wearing all the time.
Okay. I'd say wearability wise, would be the Chronomaster, the blue Chronomaster from Zenith would probably be what I would go with. I can
see that.
But of course, brand wise, it has to be Chrono Swiss.
You're never going to make Chrono Swiss happen.
You know what? I will make Chrono Swiss happen because I am a believer in myself. Now, I see Jason says bonus roast my watch. So I want to be sure, Jason, because I did get your email. I saw that it came in. Are you okay with me? I didn't know if those still couldn't be shown publicly. Or do you want me not to show the images and roast it, or can those be shared? I don't want to be bad. So let me know as I get into my Watches with Dennis email in case, because Tony hasn't seen them. So, but I could forward them to him so that, he says show it. Okay. All right.
Watches with Dennis, giant expose, the scoop of the year, end of the year.
Oh, he wants input. Okay. All right. This is getting exciting, but I gotta find the new buttons. All right, let's see. Present, because this is now I'm loading it through Firefox because that's where my email was saved through. So let's see. Share screen. Do you see the prototype? Watches with Dennis Gmail. Yes. Boom. All right. There you go. You guys should be able to see it. All right, we got 2 images. And I got zoom buttons because Gmail. I'm going to put up the blue one first. Okay, Tony. Let's see what's going on here. We got the pump style pushers I already talked about, that the style I like there.
No. I'm assuming the minute and the hour hand are just on top of each other, or am I missing something? Is that just the hours are on the subdial? Okay. What?
Maybe the black one's easier.
Okay, yeah, they were on top of each other because they're on the black one. You can see them both. Okay.
No, he's not going to be that. That's way too off guard.
I was like, wait, that was weird, but okay.
Or in the words of or in words of what Tony was going to say, how about no? It's like, what is this, Meistersinger?
I just thought I was crazy. I'm like, am I missing a hand? Is there something I'm missing here? But no. Okay. All right. I liked the blue.
All right, we'll go back to the blue.
Go back to the. See, I like how I like the dial. I like the blue frosted. Yeah, I have to say overall, I don't have any real issues with it. The 6030 was a little was.
I'm going to share the StreamYard in case Jason's available if he wants to talk a bit about it, so he can explain what's going on. Because here's my current guess: hours and minutes, no running seconds. This is a chronograph second hand, and then we've got the hours for the chronograph at the 3 o'clock and the minutes at the 9 o'clock. That's my guess.
That's kind of where I was leaning.
But I'm not, because they seem pretty clearly marked. And obviously it's a chronograph. We can see the chrono hands and stuff. So, okay. Jason says yes. That is correct. Okay. All right. Interesting. So, all right. So, no running seconds, Tony. Not too surprising because I don't see tri-dial. So,
right.
Chronograph seconds, chronograph minutes, chronograph hours, and then hour minute hands around the exterior of the dial. What are your thoughts?
Overall, I like it. I like the blue. The 6030 is a very different take on that kind of look. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Mm.
Uh, the but yeah, I don't have any real issues with it. I like that it's only got 2 sub dials. I think that keeps it from being too busy. Looking at the
Yeah, I'm trying.
that's a tachometer. Okay, that's
Okay.
down. It's down on the watch face instead of up on the bezel.
Mm. Okay.
That's what it was. It's the tack. I was reading it. And it took me a second to realize it.
Mm. And I'm guessing that the reason for the decision to mark 3060 here on the interior of the dial is so when you're running the chrono seconds, you're reading the actual seconds that way. Because I also see here, as we've zoomed in, you can see that he's got markers for the hours here, applied markers, but 5 second, 10 second, 20 second, 25, they're marked. Very small, but they're marked. So you can read those. I like the radial approach on chronographs like this. Let's see. Jason has noted that it is 39 millimeters and it's a VK 64 mecha quartz. I actually have no familiarity with mecha quartz, so I can't really comment on the movement itself.
Yeah, I don't have any familiarity with that one either.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. The one thing for me, I guess, in terms of, I like the hands. I like the subdial configuration for the 2 subdial. I am a big fan of tri. Like I would probably have preferred again, setting aside the mecha quartz side. I would have preferred tri-dial with a running seconds. I like that format overall better for my chronographs. But obviously, Tony, you already weighed in how you prefer the 2 subdial.
I prefer the 2 subdial.
I do think this is very interesting to do like the 60-30 and such emphasized numerals. I don't know about this part with the texturing though. Like that the alternating hash lines, like closer, further, closer, further, closer, further, closer, further. Like I assume that's to read something, but I don't know how to use tachyometers, so I'm at a loss for that. I think I like the blue one better. What do you think on the colors?
Isn't it's just the same one but the other one's black and white picture?
Right, black and white, but everything's black and white. Whereas on the blue one, there's orange accents as well as the steel, steel and the white loom. So
yeah,
no, they're the same other than a color scheme change.
Well, I thought it was at first. I thought the other one was just a black and white photo.
Oh no! I think this is a different dial color. It's black and white with a white running second. Oh, he's got he says there's a video. I think it was he probably included it. Let me see if I can ensure I can run it. I might have to reshare because I have to download that. So let me get my VLC player up, guys. All right, let's see. I got it. You can see I was super prepared, but I think I actually have my VLC player all ready for the.
Okay, so he says it was. Yeah, it's a different dial. So I was just. You were right. I was incorrect.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna see if I can play the video. So let me stop screen share, and now I have to present a different screen.
No, not that screen, Dennis. Oh no, we didn't need to see that.
No, sorry. All right, now you should be able to see the video. I like the strap.
I like the. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I like the strap and clasp.
Oh, it's sunburst style. Okay,
nice.
Now I like the blue even more. The photo made it look fairly flat.
Looks like the clasp it's on the sides to release. I like that.
Yeah, there's a picture of the hardware. Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you. Yeah, the where you squeeze it to like deployant. It's a deployant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the blue.
Yeah, I do too.
Have you all decided a price point on it yet? That's the real question. Is it more or less than the Landmaster?
$175,000.
We have to know if it's more or less than the Landmaster. 175,000 yen. What does that translate to, Tony?
Normally just drop off 3 spots. So.
Oh, $399.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, I think it's attractive. I think what Tuna had said, not offensive. It's not my favorite configuration for chronographs. I like the case. I like the sizing. I like the strap. The dial itself is all right. I don't love it, but I don't dislike it either. Would be kind of where I guess that's my overall. I'll put it back on the screen. That's my overall sort of hot takes on it. Like I like the colors, the color scheme and stuff. The hand, like these hands, they're okay, but they're not a shape I'm not even sure exactly what shape those are, but kind of remind me of like the Zodiac we looked at, those hands, which they're again okay, but I don't love that.
Yeah.
I prefer thinner hands. I prefer thinner hands on chronographs simply because I like to have as little of the subdials blocked as possible. And it's obviously it's not to the extent of like like the Tudor Snowflake, which was a big complaint I had with their chronographs that came out, the Black Bay ones, but something thinner like what we saw in the Union Glashütte. Even though I didn't love that shape per se, they were very thin. So, but again, you know, if you want loom, we don't have a loom shot to look at, but if you want loom, the really thin hands start to cause problems if you want to be really readable.
Right.
But anyway, so
I think the important question is there a Gundam modded version of this watch already, or do we have to wait for that for later?
I don't understand the Gundam reference.
That means you've not been watching all of the shorts.
Sorry. The last Gundam I saw is the one where the guy kept saying, "I am Gundam." And I'm like, no, you're a person. But anyway, but thank you, Jason, for letting us look at it. I hope my feedback was interesting, if not useful. And that's really it for this show.
So Tony, I'm an honorary watch pirate.
Oh gosh, no. Oh, so you meant his shorts. Okay, yeah. No, yeah. I have since starting my new job, I have watched 2 Frederico videos and 2 Tim Masso live streams that I caught after the fact. And that's it. I've watched nothing. That's why all of this stuff was like new, shocking stuff to me. I am so far behind. And I do deserve all the shame. I am not an honorary pirate. I'm an honorary cat. Do we still do the cat thing? Is that still a thing? Or am I way too far behind? I will catch up. I will try and catch up. But in the meantime, Tony, thank you for coming on and
well, thank you for having
keeping me company and helping go through all of this. Thank you, Jason, for banning me from the show and letting me have a sneak peek at your watches that you have been working on. And thank you, everyone else who participated in the live chat. And if you're watching it after the fact, I hope the jokes at least were tolerable enough that you were able to get through and actually hear and look at the feedback on the watches that we were actually reviewing. I will be back on in a few hours to go over some sales marketing data regarding eBay. That will be Saturday's live stream. But until then, I need to go and pass out because I'm really tired. So thank you again, Tony. Thanks everyone who participated live. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to you on the next one.